Adam, thank you for coming. I've been looking forward to this one, man. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule and showing up. As we were talking, the point of this is, I've been talking with you for years about this. I wanted to, we have incredible conversations together. I was like, it'd be so cool to record these and share with people because it's knowledge after knowledge after knowledge. Because I feel like we're just talking mostly about business and strategies and, growing our craft and growing our revenues. And a lot of people listening could benefit from it. I know I would, even now, talk about years ago, that could have been game changer. So, like I said, thanks for coming and thanks for sharing or what you're about to share.
We'll see.
We're gonna find out everything.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It's cool to see all the progress you're making too. Learn from you, and sharing around.
Thank you. No, again, like I said, I just stumbled my way through. I was doing video for obviously years, and finally was like, no, I gotta go all in. And then couldn't find any resources or people willing to share, and had to stumble my way through where I am today. Luckily, I can pay my bills, so can't complain. But you're one of the few people. So when people ask me, I'm happy to share, right? And that's what I found a common trait when people were successful. They were happy to share, and that helped a lot eventually when I finally did meet those people. But what's crazy is then a lot of people will ask me, "Hey, what do I do?" And I'll tell them exactly what I'm doing. Like I don't hide anything. But then they don't do it, and then like I'm not still finding success. I'll meet them a year or two later. You're one of the few people, and I don't want to take any credit. But what I say, you're actually doing it. You're one of the few people. I've known you now, what I think 2 years or roughly, and I've seen you grow from small company to like huge. And I think you've done it. You've done everything. Like every time I see you doing something, I'm like, this is exactly what I say people should do to scale. And so, first of all, I'm incredibly proud and happy for you. To the point you hire me now. I can't complain. And but tell me your process. So I want to know is what made you do this, and how have you been able to do everything right and scale so much faster than most people?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I do everything right. Definitely, there's a lot more that could be done and could be done better. But I think, like you mentioned, just learning from other people, seeing what other people are doing, imitating that. And just trying to make the best decisions along the way too. I know it's super vague, and we'll probably dive into it, but
we got plenty of time.
Yeah, just watching other people succeed, asking the questions, taking the time to listen and actually hear them out, hear their process when they're willing to share. Sometimes people aren't willing to share, but and then actually acting on it, like just takes discipline, and that's something that I'm constantly working on. I am nobody perfect. I'm not doing everything perfect here, but I try to be disciplined and actually taking the action, making the decisions. That's something I've been talking to a lot of people about lately and trying to get better at, like making decisions, like educated decisions, but a little bit quicker so that you can move. Like take action and then iterate.
Act like a startup, right? So you can move faster. Yeah,
that's exactly the mindset I'm trying to take. That is so much harder than just saying it.
Especially with a wife and a kid at home, you gotta be able to make the right decisions because you can't risk it, right? You can't make a terrible decision and go, "Oh, I fucked up,"
Yeah, and just being an analytical person that likes to think through things, and I think you like to think through things a lot too. I know several of our colleagues too that have that same kind of personality or decision-making tendencies to like really think through it and make well thought out decisions. That's a great quality. But I think in business, I'm learning just move quicker, a little bit quicker than maybe what I would be comfortable with, and learn
So
faster.
give us an example. I want to know a real world example of that where you thought you made a decision slower than you could have.
Well, one of the biggest ones was starting my company. If I look back to the very beginning, I waited. I thought about it, and I don't necessarily regret that because I worked within a corporate marketing department. I got a lot of good experience there. I got on my feet in the world after school, and but I look back, and after I started it, and in my first year, had great success within the first year. I went into that first year thinking, all right, how much do I have in my savings, and how long can I last without making $1? Because I'm gonna not make anything here. That's how like worked up, I guess, I got up about this the decision to like start my own business, jump out of that full-time 9 to 5 role. And then I had great success, and I was like, shoot, what if I did this sooner and just
Mhm.
learned a little bit quicker?
Yeah.
I can't say that would have been ideal or it was the wrong decision to wait, but I think maybe I could be a little bit further along
Mhm.
had I made that decision a little bit quicker. So
Yeah.
that's just one example of like, I guess maybe I could just move a little bit faster. I
Yeah.
still it's a tough decision. It's a big
Yeah.
decision to jump from that kind of 9 to 5 role into a like I was mostly freelancing to start and then some of my own projects, but um that is one example, and then going into now, it's like,
Mhm.
do we try this, like, marketing strategy, or what's my business strategy with this client
Mhm.
this year? And I will sit and think about it, think about it, think about it, learn, try to learn, and that's good stuff, but in all that time, I have to recognize that I'm not doing it during that time. So I may be missing out on something. I may be missing out on the learning that happens from just doing it, and
Mhm.
maybe that's a little bit quicker path to success than thinking about it for so long.
Yeah.
Does
No,
that make sense?
that's great what you say because, and I also think, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I do think you have an inherent advantage compared to other people, and especially me, because a lot of people who do this are filmmakers first. Like we start, I love to create, and I would be doing this anyway if it was free, right? And it's not just my thought process. Everyone is. We were just trying to make a passion into a job, and business was something we had to learn or are having to force to learn. But you don't have what we call gas gear acquisition syndrome. I find that obviously my decisions are still calculated, but on a way like I have to have the latest gear, knowledge, and all that. So a lot of my time and energy spent on testing new gear, buying new gear, seeing how it fits in my workflow. But I feel like you are able to make your purchases, either don't make the purchases or able to make them efficiently, and that is helping you because you can put business first over creativity. Not saying that your videos are not creative, they're amazing, but you're business first guy. And don't you think, I think that helps you be able to make better decisions than most filmmakers because you're thinking business first.
Yeah, I definitely think it is an advantage to start. There's definitely a little artist within me too that
Hmm.
loves the visuals and the creativity. But I got a marketing degree. I worked in the marketing department at a global business, and that shaped who I am too
Hmm.
and where my foundation came from. And I'm self-taught in photography and videography and all that. So I realized pretty quickly. As I was trying to build my business and do better for my clients that there's so many people out there that are better than me at video, photo, everything,
Hmm.
creative. And that's not to say that I want to just give it all up
Hmm.
and let somebody else do all my
Yeah.
work because I know you'll have a comment on this, but
Hmm.
sitting behind the desk and being just the
Yeah.
logistics coordinator of
Hmm.
shoots is kind of what a producer is, but it
Yeah.
kind of sucks if
Yeah.
that's all you
Exactly.
do.
Uh-huh.
So
No,
I
I have
just
very much input into that, but yes, go
yeah,
ahead. Yeah.
I just recognize that there's people that when I bring them in and let them do what they're best at and
Hmm.
what they're hyper focused on and specialized in, it's even better for the clients. We get
Yeah.
even better results. And yeah, man,
No,
that's been
and
huge.
that's exactly what I was talking about. You doing the right thing because the way to scale, and I learned this very quickly because I was freelancer for a while too, and I have a 9 to 5, pretty similar. And then as soon as I made a jump, oh, I'm going to be production company. I was very business minded. I knew day one, no, it's going to be bigger than me. And for me to make good content, I had to be the director, the producer, right? So for years, I scaled the company very large, but I was the director producer, and my love is starts with camera, sound, making good images. But I had to step back. I have to hire the right people with the right tools to make that happen. And what happened with me was, and it's funny, exactly pretty much when we met. That's why I was even part of that meetup. I had like strict rule. No, we edit, we shoot. We don't even ever give you raw footage. I don't care if it's $1 million. Again, those are rules that changed. But at that time, I was so strict because I was building a massive production company. But then what ended up happening is I ran out of steam because now I'm like, the reason I do this is because I'm a passionate filmmaker and I'm not getting to be a passionate filmmaker because I can't act like a DP. I can't just come here and make beautiful image and go home, right? Let somebody else worry about the ROI, the stuff that we're worrying about in the interview or whatever, and making the client the video that will make them the money. And I was like, this can't go on. I have to make changes. But at the same time, I knew if I go to day rate, simple business strategy, whatever your day rate is, let's say you pick $1,000 a day times 365 days in a year, and that who's working every day. But let's say you can, that's your ceiling, right? You can make 365K a year, and that's it. There is no the scalability, right? Plus, you're gonna be exhausted working that many days.
Yeah,
Your family's gonna hate you. So anyway, that was at least the rut that I was going through. I was like, what do? I don't want to go back to day rate. And then the best decision ever. And funny enough, like I said, we met the same time. I remember being at the David's meetup, the first meetup, because I just wanted to hire David. I was just asking to meet him, and he's like, "Well, I'm busy, blah blah blah." Which at first I was like, "Dude, I'm trying to pay you, but okay." And it's like, "But I'm doing this meetup," and I was like, "You know what? I need to get out of my comfort zone." Because normally, being real with you, I would have been like, you know what? I'm just trying to pay you. I just wanted to hire a C70 cam op, right? That was how I even found out about him. And but then I was like, you know what? I should do that. And I'm so glad I did, because like I said, that's where I met you and a bunch of other people I ended up hiring. And that's how, our journey started. I think I hired you, and I hired David, and then he couldn't be available. I think he told me to he recommended me, and I knew you. I was like, plus I trust his opinion. And then you hired me, and rest is history. But the point is, and you've been great part in that. So making that decision, and then obviously I've been able to, help you on your shoots, has been great, because now I'm running my production company, making good money, making revenue, helping clients like I want to. But then I have this side of me where I can go on your shoot, like I was talking about that DC shoot, where I can go in, I can make good images, have fun, come home. I'm not worried about ROI. I'm not worried about any of the business side of it. And because that is important, but I have you worrying about that. That's why you're making the big bucks. So anyway, so I completely see the other side of it, where it helped me. So at this point, my company is like, okay, so I have my production company, but I'm helping buddies out. It wasn't just you. I also had a few other buddies I helped projects out on. And it was the best time of the year, because I was being creative, and a balance of both is the right approach, at least for me. So coming back to you, do you think, obviously you're not that far into it, so burnout I think is far away right now, but do you think you'll ever have that burnout, and B, do you see doing something like that where I was, and going back to a balanced thing? Like,
no, I mean, I've already accepted that that's probably the best thing, is to have that balance between freelancing, doing some stuff, or I'm boots on the ground. I mean, I still am boots on the ground, whether I'm the camera op, or direct interviews or whatever on a lot of my shoots. But yeah, that balance is pretty key to like staying interested, and also continuing to build your skills on set, whether that's being a camera op or working sound, your lighting skills, whatever it is. That balance 100%. I'm doing that as well. So there's, I haven't done the math on exactly what portion of my work is like me freelancing, jumping in on a set for you or with David or whoever. Versus like my projects, that's probably like 80-20, like my projects, 20% freelancing, maybe even less. But yeah, I definitely think it's important to have some of that balance between those two, so you don't get burnt out. Like I said, just being the desk guy at home and never getting out. Because I mean, that's part of the fun too with being a production company, is getting out, being on the sets, seeing the images come together, helping create them, collaborate with people on set. And seeing it come together for me better than I ever could do on my own. So yeah, I definitely like to still get out. Now, having a family, having a baby at the end of last year, and all of that, it's now I got to think a little bit harder on how I balance that out, and when I can actually go do freelance stuff and travel and all of that. So
especially those early years, man, they're key to their personality, and just overall, that's when you're needed the most too. Because once they get a little older, it's okay to step away for a project or two here and there, because I do that. But yeah, definitely these early years are very critical. So how was it? I want to know, like, how has the first Christmas been, first Thanksgiving? Everything's first, right? First New Year's. So how's it going?
It's crazy, man. It's been great. It's been better than I could have ever expected. Everybody tells you, it's going to be so terrible. You're going to be so tired and so just burnt. And yeah, you're tired some days for sure. I mean, I got to give a shout out to my wife, who's taking the brunt of the not sleeping and feeding him overnight.
To all the significant others, we can't do, like I said, it takes someone special to be behind a filmmaker, because we live and breathe this. We have to do this 24/7 as entrepreneurs. So it does take someone special
Mhm.
to partner with us. So yeah.
Yeah, and man, my perspective changed too. Like, I just a lot of the time I just want to be there and hang out with them, but I'm also passionate about the work that I do and the business I'm building. Like, it's finding the balance between those things is now like my endeavor in figuring out how to not miss out on either, which I don't even know if that's possible, but um, I think I'll be able to do that through working with people like you, working with other talented individuals, and building out Adam K Studio to be a little bit more self-sufficient
Mhm.
in certain areas. I'll still hold the keys to, you know, key parts
Yeah.
of it that I want to maintain and that I think might take a little longer to pass on to other people. But
Mhm.
that's kind of where I'm heading, and that's going to allow me to be a dad
Yeah.
as well as like an entrepreneur and a video
Exactly. And you
producer.
you choose your journey, right? And that's the best way to be an entrepreneur. You surround yourself with the people where you want to be, but then you choose your own path because at the end of the day, you want to be happy, right? And but that's great though. You're already thinking. That's what I'm saying. You're so young. You're already thinking about how to be a good dad. You're thinking about how to be an entrepreneur. You're thinking about how to be a good husband, and you're doing it all at the same time. I mean, come on. You gotta
Gonna
give
drop the ball
yourself, yeah,
somewhere.
yeah. Hopefully not, but I mean, I gotta give it to you, and funny enough, that's what a lot of people have told me. It's so funny because I mean, somehow, because I guess they've seen me on your shoots. I'm like, they're like, "Who's this Adam guy? He came out of nowhere," like, and then I'm
Well,
like,
I did.
but no, he's doing great. You know what I mean? So that's great for you. But how? So explain to other people because I want people to know it's nothing crazy. They can do it too, right? I mean, like I said, again, nothing taking away from your success. You worked hard. I've seen it. I've been boots on the ground for you. You worked for me, and I know how hard you work. But let's be real. Anyone can do this, right? So I want to break it down for somebody. Like, what did you do, and how can they do it? I mean, I know it's a very broad question, but answer it in just your way.
What did I do and how did I do it? Um, I I
I don't
think
know. If somebody comes to you today and they're like, "Hey, I know my skill set," because that's important. Obviously, you need to make good videos. So they already figured it out. They have zero revenue. What do they do, and what would you tell them to do to get to where you are?
one high level general thing would
Hmm.
be to block out a lot of the noise. And what I mean by that is everyone telling you all these different things that you got to do on social media, that you got to pay for, and all these random products, services, courses, agencies, all the stuff that you got to pay for to get going. Sit down, ignore all that stuff, and focus on what you want to do. Create an offer and focus. My I know this may not be the same for everybody, but I'm trying to kind of do things old school with handshakes and
Hmm.
coffees. Like
Hmm.
that's pretty much the
That's
way
so
I like to
crazy
go
how
about.
similar we think. But yeah.
I mean, I've just gotten the best return out of doing
Hmm.
that, so that would be my advice is prioritize handshakes and coffees. Anytime you can sit down with somebody, get in front of somebody, shake their hand, and chat with them and connect with them as a human being first and hear them out and be curious towards what they do and who they are, I think that it just naturally gets reciprocated and that benefits you in the long run. I'm not saying be fake. I'm
Hmm.
saying don't think it has to come from some crazy strategy, social media
Hmm.
plan, or elaborate marketing plan. It can be as straightforward as you want to grab a coffee
Hmm.
and not even nothing salesy in there, just chat, get to know them, and then you become a familiar face. Um, that's how I've grown my
Yeah.
business, and it's by having coffees with people,
Hmm.
and then those people inevitably are booked, busy, they need to pass something along, a friend asks for a
Hmm.
videographer or a video production company, and, you're top of mind because you had a coffee the other month.
Yeah, and no, what you said is so incredible, and you said it very tiny in there, but it was very important. Make an offer. Like you have to have something to offer them, but obviously go in with nothing, in mind, right? You're just building relationships because sometimes it takes 8, 9, times they see you to come back. But you're coming from a genuine place, but you also have to have something to offer them. If you just go in blindly and say I make videos, then it's like okay. So do a million people. I mean, we live near multiple universities that are churning out hundreds of people every year that do the same thing. So what is your offer? So you got to first come up with a solid offer. But then I'm with you. Like, we are proof, and I'm not saying social media works. I had been a couple weeks ago. Great guy. He spoke exactly how to run Instagram ads and make money. So it can be done.
Yeah,
But you
yep.
and I are one of those people. I barely post on social media.
Same.
Okay, you are so proof. How many gigs just with you I have been on? Did I post much about any? Very few. And that's the most free time I have because I'm just DPing or camera opping for you. So we are proof that you don't even have to do social media marketing. And again, not saying that's the right thing, but that's at least what we're doing. And we're somehow, making decent money.
Yeah.
So it's not necessary. And I'm doing the same thing you are, just meeting people in person, shaking hands, building their relationship, because it always makes money. It just is not instant gratification. It sometimes takes time, but it's a long lasting relationship, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It makes a longer lasting relationship. And yeah, I guess what I'm saying is there's more than one strategy when a lot of what's out there says, you need to be posting once a week and you need to be pushing all this content out. And that is great. There are people that 100% benefit from that. And that is a strategy valid enough. Like, it works for some people. I just think it's put out there as like the only strategy a lot of time, and you're made to think that it's one of the only ways to get in front of people is to get on social media. And the truth is anytime I've done that, I've not gotten the same return as handshakes and coffee.
Because that is, I think, what your personality type is, right? Because that's my personality type. I don't want to be fake. Like I said, I'd rather be genuine, and I know I'm a behind the scenes guy. So being on camera, I don't know if I'll be genuine. Maybe if I tried enough, I could be. But this is already hard enough, and I'm just having a regular conversation. So handshakes and coffee. I know I can, like you said, I can be. I know I'm genuine. I know I'm real. I know I have a real offer for them. And if they don't take it, that's okay, because I'm not like pushing anything. I'm just trying to be genuinely help them in their business. It works, but like I said, not the only way. And that's the point of these conversations, is to hear different perspectives and pick what works with your personality. Because you also have to match with that. Because I think the number one thing is being genuine, right? Whatever way that you can be.
Yeah, and I think for people that actually want like tactical answers to that, it's business networking groups, chamber events,
BNI,
BNI stuff, even trade shows if you're willing to pay to go to one of those. I go to one every year that's local here in Orlando that some of my clients are at, and I go just show face. And I'm not there to gain anything. I'm just there to grab another touch point real quick, say hello, and let them know that I'm there to support them and learn a couple things from like maybe some of the sessions. And that's that. Like, it doesn't have to be, those are the tactical things. Like, we're not just throwing lofty, like, get handshakes with people like that. People will say that all the time, but those are the places where you do that.
Yeah. No, and also reach out. One thing, like I said, at least what I found, and there may be obvious exceptions to this, but most people who are successful actually are passionate about it, because they do it because they love it, whether they're entrepreneurs or they're video people or they're, I don't know, plumbers, they're carpenter, whatever. Most people that are successful are successful because they're freaking obsessed with it. So in my experience, if there's someone you want to work with, right? First, if your skills are not there, find your local video person that you want to be like. And let's say your skills are there, now you're like, I need to find clients. Find the people that you want to work with. Literally say, who do I want to work with? And reach out. Just say, hey, I saw this what you're doing, and I love it, and and I would love to learn more about you. Are you available for coffee? You will be surprised how many people are willing to do that, because guess what? We love this, and other people who do what they do, they love it. They're happy to talk about it, of course, because that's their passion. So I'm like, it's not that hard to find clients if you're, but obviously be genuine about it. If you go straight and start a sales call or sales meeting, then they're not going to be happy about it, right? But if you're genuinely there to build a relationship, to learn, do that. Like, why aren't you meeting people now? And you can straight up ask them, be like, hey, so what would be an offer that somebody in your industry would be, would be interested in? Because we know video works. That's not even a question here. The question is, what's the buy-in? What's the thing they're looking for, their problem or whatever? And then now you can go solve it for other people. And you have an industry leader on your side. So, but you have to make that effort. You have to send out that coffee, and you have to be understanding that these people are busy. It may not happen the next day. It may take a month or two for you to be,
Yeah.
get on their schedule. And some people may not say yes, but some will. Right? I
Yeah,
mean,
it
it's
definitely.
doable. Like you just have to put in the effort.
Definitely. And I think once you know, get a couple contacts within an industry, or maybe you do work for a couple different little companies or organizations within an industry, you start to realize how small that industry is and they start talking to each
Yeah.
other. Do you have any like specific little niches that have like developed like that in your portfolio
Yeah,
where
service-based businesses like Ben. So on a small scale, obviously large scale, I like marketing agencies. That's where all big companies have to go through an agency. So and they all talk to each other. But in the smaller end, it's service-based businesses, and guess what? They all hang out at chambers. They all hang out at BNI groups. They all know each other.
Mhm.
I mean, you think most plumbers that are especially at the higher end don't know each other? So
Yeah.
my strategy has been, and I'll tell you my strategy. This is my strategy. Go find your local chamber of commerce, and I would love to have the president of one of my chambers come and talk, because I think it's an incredible partnership. Join it first of all, right? Don't just freaking be a leech. Like, don't just go attend the events for free or whatever. Like,
Mhm.
actually join the chamber and then be active. Right? Go to these events, meet these business owners, and say hello and build that relationship. You'll be amazed how much money you can make. Now, it's not an instant result, right? It's not like tomorrow you go and somebody, I mean, you could get lucky, but most people aren't just going to go, I want your video. Let me get your card. That's
Right.
not
Where do I
happening, right?
swipe?
But if you go enough, you are active. You're active. Plus, it's your community. Usually, it's where you live, so
Right.
you're part of your community, your business community. You'd be amazed 6 months later, a year later, what happens. And plus, my strategy is very simple. I want to be the best, right? And I'm not saying I am, but at least that's what I strive to be. So when I'm at my chamber, I don't care if they have 1 video, 10 video, 20 video people that are part of it. I'm like, look, I'm the best. So I want to partner with them. So I pick their biggest event. I sponsor it. And my sales strategy is very simple. Let me make you a video and let's play at your biggest event. And I don't even need to do a pitch. Let the people, because we're in this big town, there's Disney, Universal, SeaWorld, all these big companies are there. I'm like, let them just see my video. That's all my sales strategy. So what I've done for years, and it's worked wonders for me, is to partner with my chambers that I'm part of, partner with them and their signature events, make a video. Obviously, it's your sponsorship. I don't do anything for free, but I'll do some kind of cost sharing. And part of that is that I'm the sponsor, for that video. So they play that video, and obviously it's incredible. The chamber looks great, but at the end, it says partner Binder Productions.
Mhm.
I want people to go to the chamber, like, who made it? Where's Binder Productions?
Mhm.
And I don't have to even sell, because I'm not naturally, I don't like, I don't know, selling to people. Like,
Yeah.
this is for free. Like, I'm not selling into, there's no courses at the end of it. Like you said, I don't want people to go pay for this. This is free. But what I'm saying is, then people will come to me and then they'll say, oh, I want something like that.
Mhm.
I want something for my brand. So that is literally my strategy. So
Love that,
simple. It's
yeah.
like, just be genuine and do what you're good at.
Right.
But on the other side of it, like you said, the people that have the money, that want to buy this offer, they want to buy this video, you have to also be there. If they don't know you exist, then there's no one to buy, right?
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter how many other video people are selling it. As long as your product is what they need, they will buy it.
Mhm. No, I think that's great because it's like a backdoor way of getting people to just see your work. Because I think the biggest hurdle is getting a new client, right?
Yeah.
Like when they don't know you, they don't know your working style, they
Mhm.
don't know the quality you can really deliver. Maybe they've seen it on your portfolio, but they don't know what the whole experience is like.
Mhm.
That is like a way to put it in front of them. Be like, yeah, this is what we do, without having to like invest in you and trust you. It's like
Yeah.
you can build a little bit of that trust by just showing them up front and let it run from there.
Exactly.
You know?
And people buy from people they know, like, and trust.
Right.
It's as simple as that. That's just the truth. I didn't hire you just day one we met. You didn't hire me day one we met. We built that relationship over time, and that's the same with anyone else.
Mhm.
You have to build it. You have to nurture it, and obviously people have a need for it. So the
Mhm.
question is a need. The question is being genuine about it and giving it time, and being letting it grow naturally instead of forcing it.
Mhm. Yeah, I wanted to ask you too, like, you focus a lot on like the client experience too.
Oh, yeah.
You
That's
always
like my
talk
thing.
about
Yeah.
that. How is it? That's one of your big differentiators, right? Is the experience the clients have as they go through the entire process of planning a shoot to
Mhm.
getting that final
See,
deliverable.
I'm so glad you asked that, because yes, so initially when I was and again, I've stumbled my way a little bit, but initially, yes. So I was freelancing. I said 9 to 5, and the shoots I would be on, I would say most people had terrible, and that's equipment's become obviously a lot more accessible now than let's say 2015 to 2018. We had like GH4s, and that's the type of the best equipment you could have with some Canon 80Ds or whatever. Point is, I found most businesses would have that low end, very low end production, especially equipment wasn't that hard to find anyway. Didn't exist, and then the high end production was blocked off. So I would find myself on a set of a good production, like being PA or gaffer or grip or whatever role, and I would find that that those are like gatekeep. Like this is it. Like and a normal small business to medium sized business could never access that. So anyway, so my initial thing was, look, I'm gonna bring, and which is funny, in our group, people think I'm the premium option, but I'm like, in the premium option, I'm the budget option, right? So I basically was like, look, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go all in, right? And I'm gonna be bigger than me. Like, it's gonna be not me, it's gonna be my team. And I'm gonna offer them that level of quality, right? No compromises, no like buy cheap equipment, right? That level of quality for a small to medium sized business. Like, I bought a bunch of C200s, which was like the best camera, I guess, at that for those type of businesses at that time. And I didn't buy one. Remember, from never day one, I've never been a single camera guy. I'm offering them multicam. I'm offering them right solutions, bringing full teams, BTS video, BTS photo, whatever. The idea was to give them what I already saw at these high end scales. So I had already been, indie movies, actual movies, TV shows. I was part of a network. Show. Point is, I had seen what the big thing was, so it wasn't that I didn't know. So now the goal was just to bring it to my level. So all I did was essentially give small to medium sized businesses what I wanted to give them, like genuinely, and that made me happier, right? Because I'm like, I'm just doing what I want to do. And then at the same time, I offered my agency partners in the past. I was like, look, we're a production company now, because trust is a factor, and they know me, but they don't trust my company. It's like, hey, we can do these shoots now at 80% of the cost or whatever. Because all I did was, in the higher end, the production company takes about 40% roughly, right? I would say that's normal. And I was like, we'll take 20%. Simple as that. And it's given. They know this. It's not hidden like with corporate clients. Okay. It's kind of hidden. But at the higher end, you have a budget, and production fee is a thing. They know what you're making. So I was like, well, I'll just half it. So nothing else changed. I'm still hiring the same level of people, same level of equipment, same everything, because that's what they expect. They have requirements. I'm like, hey, we will happily charge half the production fee, and I'm happy with that. And we're gonna do same level of quality. Plus, I'm happy to do your NDAs and wear your shirt, because I'm not. Because in the film industry, people want credit. I was like, no, you have all the credit. You did it. I did nothing. And so that's been the great work for me. I was just like, look, I'm partners with them. I can scale your business for you. And here I'm scaling my business for these business owners and helping them grow. And coming back to it, so that's why I think it grew, because guess where my business owners are? Why Instagram and stuff didn't work for me, at least. The businesses that I was targeting were at the golf course. They weren't at the Instagram, is what I'm saying. So guess what? They talk. So you do help one business owner, and they don't talk about, oh, they came, and they obviously, you have to impress them, but they don't talk about, they came with 2 cameras, they came with 5 cameras. No, they say, hey, I worked with this company and they're the best. You got higher than, man, my revenue went up 100K or whatever. Yeah. Our close rate is up 5% or whatever helped them, obviously. But, and then guess what? The friend will go, oh, I need that. Right. Yeah. And now they're calling me, and then now when I come in, it's no longer that cold deal, because the cold is hard, because they're just talking to 5 people. They don't know if this person is green, this person has 10 cameras, or I don't know, whatever equipment or skill. Because a lot of what we're doing is problem solving. If you haven't solved enough problems, you're probably not going to succeed. But client can't see that. That stuff is behind the scenes, right? So the only way I can do that is by those warm leads, and they know and they trust. And obviously, then you have to execute. The other thing I say, it's easier to keep a client than to find a new client. There's not hundreds of clients that are coming every month. That's just nature of it. Yeah. So you're better off just keeping your client and making them happier. So what I did do is pretty simple. I promised them, simple, like every production company, like you do, hey, you're gonna have 1 production day or 2 half days, and 3-person crew, 2 camera, right? I will always bring an extra person, always bring an extra camera. And the biggest thing now as a producer, it's my name. If somebody calls in, it's my head on the table. So it helps me, because if somebody does accidentally call in, I still have what I promised.
Mhm.
But ideally, people don't call in. Now I'm giving them more. And they know that because in the contract, I was very clear about what they're getting, right? This is your deliverables and this is what the production is going to look like. So now they know. They're like, oh. And they always get impressed. You bring big lights, you bring big cameras, you bring good sound, because what makes a good video is better lighting and better sound, right? So if your video sounds good, it looks good to them, and it gives them the results, they're going to tell all their friends about it. So I hope that makes sense. So that's why client experience is like the key to get repeat clients. It may not be to get one client happy, but I'm not trying to make them just happy. I'm trying to get them to keep coming back. And I know for a fact that now they can go to any other video guy. I don't care who you are. You can't compete because I'm trying to build a relationship and I'm trying to make them happy. I'm not worried about, video to video. I'm just worried about their results. So we're not even talking about. That's why, funny enough, my sales, I don't know if your sales call is good. I'm like, look, a lot of people talk about, oh, our videos are going to be pretty. I'm like, look, I'm going to make you a pretty video. You didn't come to me because you didn't like the quality. It's going to be good, right? Let's talk about business, right? What's the solution? And funny enough, and then what I do on my sets, like they're going to be impressed. So it's funny, I make it nonchalant so they're not even expecting something great because they're like, okay, so he's the business guy, right? But when then you show up and you're doing a real production, and we're not just bringing stuff to just bring stuff, it's actually legit production stuff. They go, oh, I have never had a new client not go, wow, we were not expecting that. And then they go, oh, and then sometimes, and it does happen, they don't hire you again. But I've usually had they'll always come back. They go, yeah, we tried something else, it didn't work out. And it's usually because, not that the other guy was not good, maybe there was, but they weren't doing what I was doing. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's you. I like how you saw an opportunity to provide more value to the client. I mean, you're talking about taking less margin and bringing more to the table for the clients, and that's seeing a great opportunity within an industry or a market and providing an answer to it.
Yeah. But at the same time, I do want to know, don't dilute the market. So this was at the higher end, right? Where the numbers were up front. So I'm like, look, they know what the rates are, what the money is. There's no hiding anything. But on the lower end, it's the opposite. I'm making higher margins because like you, day one, I knew I can't do everything. I have to account for other people on my set, right? And then, but you take a little cut off everyone, right? And then you're taking decent margins out of it. And then plus you can pull 30-40% margins easily, 50% sometimes, because the rates are so much smaller, like in those 5 to 10K videos. That's why I tell a lot of people, they go, how can I be on bigger sets? I'm like, no, you're better off because you can pull a lot more margins, and a lot of these smaller clients don't care what camera you're bringing because you don't have those high rental fees. You can plus most, like I think you do the same thing. We do more good, better best pricing or just one pricing. Yeah. So you get to decide where the costs go. You don't have to tell the client where the costs are going. So in a way, I think it's a healthy balance of, again, both. I like to be on bigger sets, but I can pull a bigger profit on smallers because the costs are less, right?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's not about diluting the market and being that guy that goes in and does it for cheap and then affects everybody else by bringing the rate down.
Because most people that do it are not good, but you can have that one guy who's actually good, who's like, oh, I'll do it for $300 because I live with my parents and I'm really good, but I don't care. And then now you're diluting the market, and you don't want to do that either, right?
Yeah, that kind of hurts everybody. It's like the opposite of rising tide raises all ships or whatever.
No, I want everyone to make a great living. I know 6 figures doesn't really matter that much, but I know people hype about it. So I'm like, no, I want everyone to make over 6 figures and be successful in this business. That's why we're doing this. I don't want anyone to not make money or be that starving artist. We want all of us to grow together. And I'll at least happily tell what I'm doing. And I'm sure you're the same way. You're happy to share. Yeah.
100%. I mean, and also that kind of circles back to what I was saying at the beginning about just trying and going. I was afraid specifically of being a starving artist. Like, I grew up great, had a great childhood, and I knew down the road I wanted to give that back to my family whenever that came around. So when I went to college, I really liked writing. I liked photography, but I could never do that because I would end up as a starving artist.
Yeah, and especially now with the ChatGPT.
I mean, well, I didn't know any of that back then. It was just like how could I make a real
Yeah.
living doing that stuff? And I had no idea. So I
Mhm.
did a finance degree for a little while. That wasn't fulfilling me. And then I
Mhm.
switched over to a marketing degree, and that was a little more fulfilling, a little more colorful and great.
Mm.
And that fit me a little bit better, but I still was like holding on to that like artist,
Yeah.
like creative within me
Mhm.
that wasn't being totally fulfilled. Um, but man, it now having been doing this for a few years and like having the business combined with the creative, it's like it's so possible. It is so doable. Um, I just was ignorant, I guess, is
Mhm.
why I was afraid. So I guess that's where this stuff also comes in is you listen to more of this, you hear more perspectives on how possible these things are, and how maybe people started from that same kind of mindset, and can evolve to, oh, like the sky is the limit. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
best part about being an
Yeah.
entrepreneur is you can take this as far as you want. Like you can put as much as you want into it,
Mhm.
and yeah, you're not capped. That's another reason why I left that job too, is I had a new boss and she came in and she's like, in 3 to 5 years, you can probably move up to the next level. I'm like, I do not have
Yeah.
3 to 5
In
years
3 to
to
5 years, they'll be like, your position is now redundant."
right? No, I'm like, I don't have 3 to 5
Yeah.
years to sit around and do the same thing, make a tiny little raise and maybe a
Mhm.
tiny little bonus every
Yeah,
year.
which doesn't even keep up with inflation. Yeah.
Dude, yeah,
Yeah.
and I left, and the
Mhm.
first year I was making 60 grand there, and my first year I did just under 100 grand in revenue
Look
in
at that.
my freelance video production
Look
business,
at
and I'm
that. Are you
like,
hearing that, people?
dang
First
it,
year,
dang it.
almost 6 figures. I mean, pretty much 6 figures.
Yeah, it was
So,
like 200 bucks
yeah,
off. So
that's what I'm saying.
I
So
won't
100, let's
say I
just
made
say
100, but
no,
because I
we'll
feel
just say 100. I like to round up. So, no, but that's what I'm saying. And let's stick to the beginning. I really love what you said there, and this is what I wanted to know. And I think a lot of people could benefit from it because here's what you did, something incredible. You were from Arizona, right? You're doing great. Obviously, you had a job or whatever, but you decided because I think your wife, uh, not wife at the time, but you guys decided you wanted to move down there because just like my significant other, my wife, she's into Disney, right? Right? Same reasons. Okay.
similar reasons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, similar reasons. So we ended up down here, right? But you're down here. You don't know anyone. You don't have any clients. You have no money. You're basically moving in with some savings. Point is, I want you to and try to be detailed if you can. I mean, but like, what did you do? Because clearly, whatever you did was right. How do you go from moving to a random city or somewhere you don't know anyone, right? You have no friends, you have no family. You move down here, maybe with some savings. How do you go to making from 0 to 100K? I don't know. What did you do at
Yeah.
least?
Well, so that my first year I was half in Arizona and I
Hmm.
was half in Florida.
Yeah. So what did you do once you get here?
So once I got here, I had a little bit of residual
Hmm.
connections from back in Arizona. One thing I did when I left my job is I didn't give them the bird and say, I'm out of here. You
Yeah.
guys suck, because they did treat me well. They gave me good opportunities.
Hmm.
I said, hey, I'm leaving and I'm starting a video production company. I would love to support your marketing efforts if you are producing any videos. So I left on good terms and I left that door open, and I had done great work for them. I
Hmm.
put a lot of effort in. I made great relationships there. That helped me. I got a
That's
little bit of
awesome.
work
Yeah.
from there. So it's don't burn bridges
Yeah.
is the lesson there. And I still do work for them.
Hmm.
Um, and then when I got here, like we mentioned, joined a business networking group,
B and
BNI,
I.
got connections from or started making relationships there. It was a very small chapter. Made a relationship with an agency that immediately handed me a job that ended up being worth like 10 grand.
Look
I'm
at that.
like, you got me on my feet here. Like
Yeah.
I was so grateful for that. And then I started talking to people like you, David, meeting people in the community and networking, going to any connection I had to anybody that was in a video production, photography, creative kind of role, and saying like, "Hey, I'm here and I'm ready to go whenever."
Mhm.
Um, that's what I did, and yeah, BNI was a good part of that. Um, and from there, the ball just started rolling. It was
Mhm.
still a lot. That year was still a lot of freelancing. versus my own projects. But
And how are you finding some of these freelance projects? Obviously, you talked to everyone you knew who's in video. Did you meet anyone else, or did you do anything else outside of BNI and uh, other video people to get some freelance jobs or whatever?
yeah, I mean, it all sprinkled in from random
Yeah.
places, but Production Hub got on, grabbed 2 or 3 jobs from there, which was nice to see that return. Um, what else we do? A little bit of random editing work type stuff for other buddies that I knew back in Phoenix that had production companies. I was like, hey, I'm editing, I'm doing anything,
Yeah.
which. Yeah, a little cringy, but
No, that's
what
okay.
you do
I
to
mean,
start is you scrape it all together, and every time I just took the perspective of I'm getting paid to learn right now,
Yeah.
and I'm getting paid to become a better editor if I'm the editor on this project, or I'm getting paid.
But you don't edit anymore, right?
Not really. Sometimes I do. I'm using that as a juggling kind of act now with the baby and stuff, because if I can edit some projects, I can be home.
Yeah.
I can capture that part of the project. And that is one key point about what I build into my my budgeting is I budget for me to edit it, and then I'll pay someone, an editor, what they want to get paid to
But
edit
obviously it's
it.
less,
But obviously it's less, so that way I'm never stuck. Like, say my editor fails, or something happens where they can't edit it, or I can't find somebody to edit it and I have to, then I'm never stuck feeling like, oh man, I'm getting burnt on this one. I'm losing out. So yeah, sometimes I'll still do some editing, and it's helping me stay at home a little bit more, especially towards the end of last year. And the baby was new and stuff, so it's nice to have that flexibility. I mean, that's your prerogative as the business owner, right? You can do
choose,
any part of the work you want to do at any point.
I mean, in the beginning, you're doing everything, and then slowly you start to delegate, right? But no, I love, and to summarize, I think this is incredible. Again, this may not work for all personality types, and that's why we have the Ben's podcast to go listen to do the ad format. But I think, and like I said, our personalities match, because I couldn't do that, but I can do this, and this is exactly what I did. I think the best thing is, it doesn't matter you're in your own market or somebody else's market, just go join a networking group like BNI or whatever, go join your chamber, go meet every video and photo or whatever creative agency that you can, and then join Production Hub. And if you do all that and you genuinely go out and try to make connections, making a living and starting on this is not hard. And obviously in the beginning, you're doing everything, right? Take editing, take shooting, take whatever. And until you probably even have to find what you're good at, because not everyone wants to be a production company owner. Like we know David, between us, who doesn't want this, who wants to be a DP, and that's good too. You can make a great living doing that. Less investment, less costs, so higher profit, so you don't have to make as much. So there's different paths, but you have to first find obviously what you like and what you enjoy. But this is a straightforward path that we know works. There's 2 examples that have done it, and it worked for both of us.
And I can't even take credit for figuring that out, because I didn't. I got the advice from a buddy, from having a conversation with a buddy that has a production company in Phoenix, and he said, when you get there, join a BNI group, make sure there's a good web designer in the group, and you'll be good. And I did, and I'm good. Like, it wasn't even an original idea. Like, oh, how did he? How did he think of that? It's like, dude, this is like, no.
Exactly.
So,
and if you
standard.
didn't have that buddy, which is awesome for your buddy to tell you that, because he saved you again a lot of struggle. And that's what I'm saying. If you don't have anyone to give you this advice, this is exactly what you follow. And then
you're getting it right here.
Yeah, right. If you don't know this is exactly what you do. I'm happy to tell.
These are the answers, people.
I mean, come on.
Potential answers.
Yeah, and it's not that expensive. BNI, obviously, a BNI and chambers cost money, but it's not that much. They're whatever the annual price is, because you'll know within a year, if it's for you or not. But you have to obviously put in your time and effort and energy to do it. And that's what I'm saying. This is right here. This is exactly what I did. I think this is what you just said you did, and it worked for both of us. So why aren't people doing it? I don't know. I mean, do it if you want to. Obviously, if you want to be a production company, especially. But I think this will even work for DP, because a lot of these BNIs and chambers have marketing agencies and stuff. You can just go be a camera operator for, or just in general, just network and find gigs. And Production Hub is great. Go be active on that. I know you have to be like refreshing and responding as fast as possible, because everyone's on there, but it's still a good resource, and you can find, at least get your money back that you're paying for the membership.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That's definitely worked out in terms of an ROI. Yeah, I do think it's different for freelancers because I'm
Yeah.
sure there'll be a fair amount of freelancers listening to this. I definitely think it still boils down to networking
Hmm.
and it's who you know.
Yeah, that is
As a
true.
freelancer, I mean, you don't even have to be the best. You don't have to have the best
No,
equipment. It's who trusts you and they're
exactly.
gonna call you.
Yeah, and I would hire any day somebody I trust, because here's the thing: when you're a production company owner, you have to think from their mindset. It's not about finding the cheapest person, because people will do it for free. So it's not about cost; it's about our reputation. Because you work really hard to find your
Hmm.
client, right?
Yeah.
You really work hard to maintain that relationship. You cannot have go anyone there just not do a good job, but worse, talk about or say something to a client
Right.
that ruins your relationship with them, or because anyway they may be desperate, they try to steal your client or whatever. Either way, what I'm saying is it's not good for your business. So you'd rather send somebody, and I know I would, who you trust, who's gonna maintain that relationship, who's gonna maintain that quality or
Hmm.
whatever, right? Not instead harm your business.
Number one rule at Adam K Studio is don't be a weirdo on set. And like that's the mantra.
That's a mantra. There you go.
If you are a weirdo risk, you're not coming.
Exactly.
Period. That's the most important thing to me. I don't even care
Yeah.
about like obviously I want you to be good at what you do, but
Mhm.
above all,
Yeah.
if you're good at what you do but you're weird,
Yeah, it
see
doesn't
ya.
matter. I'd
Like
rather have half as good.
yeah.
And you wouldn't be amazed how many emails. I don't know if you've started to get these emails, but I get so many emails like I'm a graduate from this school or I'm about to graduate.
Yeah.
I would love internship or whatever, blah blah blah. And I'm like, it doesn't matter how good you are. I can't have you on set because I don't know you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best way is to get to meet me on coffee or meet at one of these David's
Mhm.
events or somewhere where I can meet you in person. I could gauge your personality because I don't mind. I don't mind bringing people. You can be
Yeah.
a PA. You can, be I don't know, a BTS photographer
Yeah.
or shooter or whatever. But again, I have to gauge your personality first. I have to know that you're not gonna f up
Right.
our productions or whatever.
Yeah.
So try to that, and that's why the power of meeting in person is so
Yeah.
important. Because people have to gauge your personality and make sure that you're not gonna be a weirdo
Yep.
on set, as Adam said.
Yep. And there's so much we everybody's inundated with so much noise every day in
Mhm.
their inbox, in their text,
Mm.
their social media, everywhere.
Yeah,
Like, there's no way I can actually get your personality through
yeah,
an email or a random DM. Like,
yeah.
it's got to be like, don't you can't. I mean, at
Mhm.
least for me, you don't ever expect that to work out. Like,
Yeah.
it's 100%. I need to see that you're going to be a good person and you care about it and you really want to do good work
Yeah,
and
and you wanna
you
learn, you genuinely wanna learn.
I mean the same thing that we do for our clients. I
Yeah,
want to see that you want to come add value to what we're doing
mhm,
and make what we're doing better. Like
exactly.
that's the mission we're all on. So
Mhm,
show me how you plug into that
yeah,
and make it easy for me.
yeah, and plus my advice is, so if that happened, you were successful, Adam said yes to come to his set, to be PA or whatever, please, we already know you don't know how to set up half the things, that's okay. Just don't go in front of the client and talk to Adam, say, "I don't know how to set up this light, can you come show it to me?" Because
Mhm.
that makes Adam look bad or me
Yeah.
because we know it already, right? So we are already right. We already know the limitation that we are. It's okay. You don't know. I've brought people and I've had such a great time where they were honest. They're like, look, this is what I know. This is what I don't know. I'm like, that's cool. Just
Mhm.
do what you know. That's cool. And if you don't know something, learn. That's the whole point of being there. But don't say in front of the client, because what happens is they don't know our understanding that I'm helping you learn. They think we're an amateur, somehow don't know how to set up a slide or a stand or
Yeah.
whatever, right? Don't you
Mhm.
agree? Because yeah, that will make you look bad, even though that person's learning. Now you have to do an explanation thing. Oh, he's just learning, they're training or whatever.
Mhm.
And clients like, that's not what I paid for. I paid for premium service here,
Right.
not people to come be students.
You didn't tell me you're bringing the B team.
Yeah, we want the A team.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah, so just be mindful of, I guess, your surroundings, right? But that's awesome, man. Like I said, I've been following your journey because I think
Been a part of it, man.
yeah, I
Big
know,
part of it.
because we met essentially when you were new in this area,
Yeah.
right? If I'm correct. Okay, so
Yeah,
yeah,
probably
so
one of the first coffees that I went and grabbed with people.
so
And
I'm so glad, man, David did that, and I'm so glad I step out of my comfort zone and did that.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I ended up hiring pretty much. I think I ended up working with everyone on that table, so it's
Yeah.
crazy. I think except for one. What's his name? I think he was doing real estate.
I don't know.
Really successful real estate.
Oh, John.
John.
John, yeah.
Anyway, but
That's
he's
'cause
doing his own
he's
thing, yeah, and he's
yeah.
successful in that. But I'm
Yeah.
saying outside that,
You should have him.
I've hired so many people, or been hired, and we've had such a great time together. It's built like a little network, and I love it because it's a good resource to go and just find solutions or whatever. And here we are, right? You're the living proof. So let's get into numbers now. I want to know. So you've been doing this how many years?
I can never remember the exact year.
Full time, let's say, like half the year or whatever.
4
years,
3, 4.
Okay,
not
and
that
obviously we
long.
know you said first full year you did about 100K. What did and again you don't have to share your exact numbers. We can round them up or whatever. What did you end your last year on, sir?
My last
Which
year,
is 2024.
My last year, it was, I think, like 325.
Look at that.
Around
Look at
there.
that. 4 years you can go from 0 to 325, and that's with having a baby. Not because you would have probably generated more profit anyway if you put yourself out more, even because you had to take time with your family and be with your wife and your kid. So having a new kid and still be able to pull 325 in a year, commendable, right? So that is the power of what we're doing here, and that's crazy.
Going for 500 this year.
I don't see why that wouldn't be possible. I think that the key is, and I'm sure you noticed that because humans, we like pattern recognition. I found everyone who's doing 7 figures, so half of 7 figures would be 500 or more. The most of the revenue comes from those 4 to 5 top clients that you're bringing in enough over and over again, because you can't keep realistically be finding 50 new clients every month. That's just not realistic. So I think the goal for you would be just to nurture the relationship you have, maybe add a few more that are repeat, and that way you can just keep doing it, keep killing it for them, right? Is that the strategy, or what other strategies are you thinking about to get there?
Yeah, I mean, it's
a very conservative goal, to be real, to go from 325 to 500. I'm saying low 300 to 500 is not that. I'm saying,
yeah, well, I mean, I like to set reasonable goals for myself, and know I have a little bit of an idea of like what that will take, having gone through the last couple of years, and knowing that I need to balance it out with family, and I want to balance that out with family. I didn't expect to double every year for the first 3 years like I have, but I didn't set my goals to double, so I can set my goals reasonable, achieve them, and then everything after that is extra, and that's great. No, I feel good about that. So I do think, obviously 500 is not a double of 325, but it is a attainable goal. And some of the key things that I want to do to get there is, yes, nurture existing clients. I'm reaching out to all my existing clients that I like, that treat me well and pay on time and all that good stuff. And seeing what else we can do to support them, offering some suggestions and ideas on how they can continue to leverage video and stories to build their business. That will dovetail into a direct ask for a referral to anybody else, which I haven't done yet, but I'm going to do.
That's a good thing.
So going from existing client, already have trust, to give me a warm lead if you can to someone. So there's already a little bit of trust there from that referral. And then from there would be trying to find new clients.
Okay. Any strategies to find new clients? I mean, because I completely agree with you, nurturing the existing relationship strategy and asking for referrals. So what's your plan for finding new clients?
Actually, it's do more of the same things, which is I'm going to go to my business network chapter, and I'm going to put a lot more time into that. Last year, I did not. I was traveling and working and bouncing around to different...
Don't you have to send someone instead of you? Can you skip the meetings? I thought
you do have to send a sub.
So were you able to send subs?
Yeah, I sent subs. I got leave for when we had the baby and stuff. They're cool about that. But yeah, this kind of touches on something that, or a key element that maybe you can comment on too here, is do what works, do it again,
Yeah, please don't stop doing what works.
Do it again.
Yeah.
Do it again, and
Yeah.
then do it again until it
Yeah.
stops working. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't. I have to stop myself with my marketing
Yeah.
brain and like marketing degree from jumping into all these other
Yeah.
strategies, marketing opportunities. Like, oh, maybe I should run these social media ads, and maybe I should be having targeted LinkedIn DMs and hire this agency to do that, or maybe I should build a whole new website and have a SEO campaign running. Like wait, why don't I just do what works right now?
Mm-hmm.
Do it again, and until that's tapped, then
Yeah. Which
you
I don't
know,
know why it would be.
I don't know where that
Because
taps out,
yeah.
but you know, yeah,
No, and nothing stops you from, and actually that's a very good marketing strategy. You know, nothing stops you from trying new avenues. So you could still
Yeah.
do LinkedIn ads, you could still do Instagram ads, but why stop what's actually working? That's like the most terrible strategy somebody could do. Be like, okay, so I've got to 300K meeting people by shaking hands, but now I want to do something different. Let me
Yeah.
now start marketing ads, and I'll just stop. And that's just hurting your business. But like you said, you can slowly maybe integrate some new other
Yeah.
ideas, but you
Yeah.
don't have to. What works, never quit until it stops working, obviously, which again, usually if it works it's for a reason, it's going to continue to work.
Our ad gurus out there are thinking, are definitely thinking that's not scalable.
Yeah.
Can't scale that because you're only one person. You only have so much time. You're
Yeah.
100% right. I am not denying that. I will need to find other ways to
Yeah.
generate leads versus me sitting down for coffees because no, it's not scalable.
Exactly.
However, it is a better relationship return, and it's more of a, I would say, quality over quantity in terms of leads or new clients. But
Plus,
I do see long term
yeah.
needing to have a different source that doesn't, require me sitting down or being in a
Exactly.
meeting.
But to be real, until you get to like $1 million a month, you can do it. It only gets
$1 million a month or
yeah,
a year?
a year. No,
Year.
month.
Month?
No,
Okay.
until I'm doing more of that by myself. So what I'm saying is, it takes what I'm saying in my business knowledge. Again, I'm not everything. Listen to a bunch of people, but until you get to like $1 million a month, like 12 million a year revenue, then you do need a sales team and a bigger, a different way approach. But until then, I think you can do it by yourself because. Yes, it's agreeable. There's a scalability limit but not until then because I mean in video business, like I'm telling you, and again, prove me wrong. You're one of the few people who can, so be my guest. But I don't think you can find enough new business to do $1 million in sales with new clients, right? The only way that I've met people, and I would love to meet somebody who's like again doing lots of new clients, is to build relationships, is to continue. And the only way you can do that is you. I haven't yet met a salesperson who'll come and then build these relationships, and do them really well on the video side when I'm saying that you can. And it's not that hard to get to that number. It sounds, again, crazy, but it's not hard to get number because it's just a bunch of relationships.
Yeah.
That you are continuing. I hope that makes sense.
I think,
do you think I'm wrong or what's your opinion?
No, I think it dovetails into the, like, what's the goal? The goal isn't to have 500 clients.
Yeah. Plus it's unrealistic,
Yeah, the goal
especially
is to
new
have
clients, yeah.
Goal is to have a couple good ones.
Yeah.
Like and over time you feel out who's good, who's not, who's going to come back, who's going to be a good partner with your company and collaborate with you on your efforts. It's not about how many can I bring in the door. Like that's not my business goal. It may not be your business goal. Some people's business goal is how many can I bring in?
Yeah.
The more people we can service, the more money we can make, and the bigger this gets. That's not my goal. I would like a couple good ones that allow me to have a life and run a good business and create opportunities for other people to do what they love.
Yeah, and once you get to that stage where you can't maintain the relationships, that's when you bring in a team. But the thing is, they have to build new relationships because it's very hard to hand off your relationship. Let's say you build this relationship with a company, the owner, and you guys are tight, gives you enough work, and then now you're like, hey, it's one thing to bring in a shooter or somebody, that's different. But I'm saying to be like, hey, so from now on, I'm gonna be in the background. Here's my buddy, this ABC, like,
right, yeah.
That ain't gonna work. But now, yes, they can now come in, start new relationships, like you said, slowly take over. But you still have to maintain, unless you just want to let them go. your existing clients, because the relationship is you and them, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the people.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying you have a long ways to go there
Yeah.
right now, I think, to do that. But the other thing also is, this is not like a typical business. We don't have a product to sell, right? We're not plumbers, like a service like plumbing. This is a very, very creative space, as in, like, the video that you're making, right, is not the video that I'm making. And then it's not the videos anyone else is making. It's our creative vision, how we're solving their problems. Obviously, client cares that it gets solved. They don't care about the creative vision. But also, once you start to let go of that creative control, it's no longer your video. So it's very hard to maintain. Because it's one thing to be like, okay, we'll go shoot this. This is the shot list, or this is what I want.
Yeah.
Fine. But to be like, fully, Vipul, here you go. Here's a budget. You handle the crew. You handle everything. And as somebody who does that from time to time, you have to let go full control, because now you're no longer building a crew, building the shot, like whatever, right? You're just saying, as Adam K Studio, we're bringing in this much revenue. This is our cut. This is the production cost.
Mm-hmm.
They go do it. Obviously, you have to do it at a certain quality. But I'm saying you have to let go, which is very different, because now it's no longer, your video, but it's your video, and you have to keep creative control, which is hard to do when you're scaling that large. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
have you thought of that problem, or is it too far out right now to even worry about?
I've let go of that early, because, like what I said earlier, is
Man, you're gonna
so
go so far, because I'm like, it gives me nightmares thinking about letting go of control. But yes,
I mean, I still have some control over it, but there's so many people like you and many others in this community that are better than me at shooting, lighting, sound, all this good stuff. So I am, whether it's my vision or my creative vision or not, I'm good, like, putting that to the side, because it becomes like our vision, and that's even more rewarding for me when you've contributed to something, I've contributing to something, editors in on it, the client has some input, then it's our vision together. And I know that that's stronger and better than anything I could do on my own. I definitely like to do my own creative endeavors, but that's going to be, for me, like, side projects, passion and like stuff. If I want to, like, I don't know, something I'd like to do more is go spend some more time out in nature and film some stuff out in nature. That's just for me. And because I enjoy being outside and doing that kind of stuff, that's my vision. That's me showing the world through my lens. When it's a client of Adam K Studio, it's our vision together. And how do we make it all come together? Because, dude, after a shoot, like, sometimes I don't even look at the interviews. Like,
welcome to the world. I've had so many times shooters go, "How was my footage?" And I was like, "I didn't see it," and it's not like in being mean. It's just, again, it was good. If I actually didn't see it, that means you're good. Like,
it means I didn't feel like I had to.
Yeah.
No, I sometimes I don't look at the interviews at all. I just say, this is.
Sometimes it can be beneficial.
Here we go.
Don't watch Emmanuel's podcast.
Dude,
we were talking about your DC shoot. Something funny happened on it. I'm not even going to tell you, but we were talking about the DC shoot, and one of the weird things was happening. So I can't wait for you to now go back and listen, and then we'll talk about it after.
Okay.
But things that you don't notice. It's so funny to be on the other side.
Yeah.
The challenges that come up on set, and then we have to resolve them. We have to figure them out. While we made sure the client had no idea what's happening, right? So client has no idea. And I had even completely forgotten about it until when he came over and we talked about it and came up. So I'm so curious. I would love to. I would love to hear your perspective as now the owner who hired two people and they were having these technical issues. So it'd be fun to, hey, but the client didn't know, and we got the shot. The shots were incredible. So that's what matters.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the other side of it, right? That you're not, privy to, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And so I was saying is sometimes I don't even look at the interviews. I don't listen. Or I do try to listen to them a little bit when I'm getting a gauge for what's going to be good, and then I'll send it over to the editor. At other times, I'm literally transcribing the whole thing, printing it out, and I'm highlighting stuff. If it's that kind of project where it gets that kind of effort, we have and my editor brought this to me from a production company she worked for before. It's a tiered system within our post-production process, which we rank projects: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Tier 3 is let's just get this done. That probably means it's a lower budget, and we're just getting something done quickly. Tier 2 is like where most projects land, which is let's do this well and efficient. Tier 1 is put your heart into it. This is going to be a portfolio piece, and we want to showcase what we can do here. The budget's
I'm
there.
sharing this with Julie.
Yeah, you should.
And my editor was like, we need to start a tier system.
Dude,
yeah.
Do it. It's super helpful in terms of setting the expectations with an editor. For those of you out there too that are looking to hire an editor.
This conversation's already been worth it, but yes, continue.
Yes, I mean that helps. Like I said, a lot of times it's tier 2. But yeah, the DC one was tier 1 because there's a lot of
plus the story we're telling is so incredible.
The story's valuable. The budget.
I've never wanted to buy an AD more. You have no idea. I can't wait people to obviously watch that. But dude, I need to buy an AD, and I never thought about that in my life. This is what I'm saying. The stories that we cover and projects that we do, it can make a personal difference because not only, like I said, we made great images. We're telling an incredible story. We had fun in DC in fall weather. Can't complain. But we're learning things that we would have never learned otherwise and that the whole world needs to know. So hopefully we'll make a real impact in the world. So thanks for bringing me into it.
That's where I want my work to go is to be on projects that are actually creating change. Because we do a lot of marketing and advertising stuff that's like the change we're creating is often like
money.
Top line, money, up, good. Or bring more staff and whatever the goal is. I
mean that's still money in the way, but yes. Different way
to be on projects that are more meaningful in terms of making the world a better place, which is I think like one of the great powers that we do hold as creatives, artists, video production people. We can through stories make the world better, and man, I wish like brands grabbed onto that and realized the potential there to utilize story and still weave your brand into it, get your little brand recognition out of it, but like you can create real change and really affect people with good stories. I mean, maybe what's your vision for that in the future, like how organizations will use that? Because I see that becoming more important.
Yes, so I'd get to do a few of those every year. So like I said, documentary is my favorite part. When we get to tell a real story. I love it when brands go, we want to tell a story, 30 minutes, short documentary, 45 minutes or whatever, but here's the budget, go do it. I love the freedom because then, funny enough, they get better ROI from me out of it because I can now squeeze. And I'm even happy to ask a friend like, hey, and we will do it for each other. We're like, hey, can you take slight less rate? I'll give you maybe an extra day or whatever here. Let's go do better for this client because the stories that we're telling are impactful. But yes, so coming back to it, yes, the short, I would say, corporate documentaries where it's not. And again, I love my brand story videos, all the testimonials. I'm not letting those go. But I'm saying, yes, that is the most rewarding work we can do in this corporate and commercial field. Where we can tell these long form stories, where we can take, pauses, we can give the story the time it needs. It doesn't have to be all hyper rushed because, client, people will not watch more than a 2-minute long video. So, but when you create the stories that you can tell, not only impact, their business like we're trying to, it also fulfills your creativity, and then they get a better product at the end. And we all get to do what we are all trying to do, right? Make great art without being starving artists. And I see more corporate documentary because, now see what's happening. This became accessible, so everyone is starting to have brand videos and testimonials. So slowly I see what's going to happen is, plus AI is making our job easier. So what's going to, I think, happen is everyone's going to go in a few years like, hey, now we all have the same noise, right? Before it was like, how do we step out from social media? Then it was this. Now it's going to be like, oh, everyone has a brand video, right? How do we pick now? Now, how do our clients pick us?
Right.
So I think it's going to be these longer form, it may not be full length document, but longer form, documentary-ish, I think, projects is where I see seeing, because at the end of the day, again, like we said before, people buy from people they like, know, and trust. And if a business has a story to be told, and a story that can be told that long, because it's not boring, I think people will watch it, especially you're trying to create those promoters, the top end customers, right? That they not only buy from you, they go to every friend they know. And if you can create that relationship, I think it's best for the brand. It's best for obviously us as creatives. So yeah, I see more and more. I've already done a few of those this year, and a bunch of people have been on podcasts that helped me make some of those. So point is, yes, I see more long form documentaries being done by brands, which is less now because that's the way they're going to be able to now put themselves apart from their competitors when they have similar content.
I hope that's not just us validating what we want to do,
Yeah.
but
I mean, hey, look,
sounds great.
to be real, in 2024, I was actually paid and pretty good money to do that. So a few times over, it wasn't even just a fluke like, oh, there
Yeah,
was a one off.
okay.
So I clearly see that moving. But yes, obviously, I'm wishing too on the other side because that's what we want to do,
Yeah.
right? I mean, how much I like 2 hour go interview B roll. Hey, make a project, make good money doing that.
Right.
I do like that. I'm not taking that away. But as a creative person, as somebody who wants to tell impactful stories or just tell a better story, because you need time, you need pauses, you need breaks, you need more characters. You can't do that in 90 seconds to 2 minutes. The average length of video that I'm targeting, that's all people will watch based on studies. So I don't know. I love that. I'm just hoping there's more of it. I just see those climbing every year. It started from 1, now 2, last year 4. So that, and then obviously I enjoy commercials, though they're becoming less and less budgets. I love making scripted, actors, directing actors. It's so fun to me. Building sets.
Yeah. I like what you said there is everybody will have the same noise, and then you'll have to be innovative on how you stand out from the crowd. And I think quality of stories surrounding a brand will be a differentiator going forward. I mean, you can look at the top brands in the world that are using stories. Adidas does great stories on their athletes and their backgrounds. Yeti is a good one where they go feature people out in the world, like out in their natural environment that they love, fly fishing or mountain biking or whatever. There's some subtle brand in there, of course, but those stories, like where you're selling like the human connection, not like selling it, but you're making people connect with the human being and you're making them relate on a human level while also like inching that connection close to the brand as well I think that's top notch.
Exactly. And I think
branding.
that's why people would buy it, because obviously if you just wanted an insulated cooler, there's enough imported, cheap Chinese ones on the market on Amazon. You could buy hundreds. So you buy a Yeti because you connect with those emotional reactions and that brand, and you want to support that brand. You want to support what they stand for. That's the same with a lot of things like Patagonia is another example. So there's a lot of brands like that, and I think that's how it's moving. But I'm also thinking that's moving hyper local. It is currently the brands. I think that needs to be, and that's what I'm trying to do at least. Is I think local brands need to embrace that because it works. Again, let these big companies spend time and money researching and figuring out, then why can't local now companies? Because I think it needs to be hyper local. Like, hey, this is who we are. This is how much impact we're making locally. Like, we're a local coffee shop. This is, how much impact we're making in our community or whatever. I think those type of stories, like you said, making that brand elevate just like Yeti is, just like Adidas is, or whatever these bigger brands are. I think that needs to now become hyper local. And I think that's where I see us moving. And I would love to. I love helping small businesses. Hopefully they have the budgets to do that. But I think that's another way they can embrace it and bring it hyper local. Like, hey, look at my local coffee shop. Look at my local flower shop or whatever. Like they have stories too, instead of just a typical, brand video or whatever. Like, right? Do you see that or no?
Yeah, I think what you made me think there was about like personalization of marketing.
Yeah, just making it bigger than just the flowers or the coffee or the, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but at a hyper local level instead of now this ginormous brand. Because, like, again, Yeti, they're making insulated coolers. Let's make it simple what they're actually doing. But the brand is bigger than that, right? The stories and stuff. So I'm saying, what shouldn't small businesses be doing that because they can have the same impact? Why is their flower just a flower? They should have a story where the flower is picked. And if it's hyper local, it's like, look, I'm growing in my backyard these flowers, or I have this supplier who's local, or whatever the story is. Or we're in Florida, our citrus, farms or whatever it is. I think it needs to be told in a similar way. And obviously, as a creative, I would love to help them, and I think they would get huge ROI out of it because you're no longer just a flower shop, right? I think the branding overall needs to increase everywhere, and especially like you said, so much noise, you got to stand out.
Yeah, the ones that leverage story, at least this is how I discuss with my clients too. The ones that leverage story are the ones that stand out, the ones that build that brand equity.
And that are gonna last, yeah.
Right. And why do you buy one water bottle for $1 and one for $5? Like we would say that this $5 bottle has $4 of brand equity. So that's
I had
that's
somebody
the
on the
difference.
podcast who's like, yeah, it has to be smart water. What
It has to
you
be
gotta
smart
provide,
water. I mean,
on the set. Otherwise, I'm not happy. No, I'm just
see, that has
yeah,
a whole
but
deal
you see
around
what I'm
it
saying, yeah.
that
It's
make you
branding.
pay more.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's successful for a lot of different businesses. Building that brand equity, standing out. There's some quote that's like, a product or service without a story is just a commodity.
hmm
So if you're that water bottle, it's just water. It's got
Yeah.
no story. It's got no label on it. It's got no, like the smart water. It's got the goldfish in it
Yeah.
or whatever. It's got nothing like that. You know, not specifically talking about packaging. It just says no story behind it. This is water.
Yeah.
Drink water. H2O. You know, that's a commodity. And if you're selling a commodity, then you're competing on price every time, and that's straight to the bottom.
Exactly. And also, I think it's who you're targeting. So now, again, if you're making, I don't know, fur jackets or whatever, like, something, winter clothing, and you're trying to market it to Florida, it ain't going to work. So it also, I think, is, again, localized who your audience is. So you have to have a story, and then it has to be relevant. I think, and that's exactly where we are, right? We're here to help them do that.
Yeah. In one format, usually. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how like the corporate knowledge of the value of storytelling evolves over the next like 5-10 years or so. Because I would say generally still you run into wall. Maybe you experience this too if you're working with a large organization or a corporation. A lot of the times, most people you run into walls where people just do not get it. They do not cannot grasp the value of a story and how it connects people and builds trust and credibility.
Especially when they have shareholders, because the issue is shareholders want instant return. The thing is, and we all know this, I mean, this is not a hidden secret. To build brand, to build wealth, it's a long-term play, right? You have to go, okay, this is the product we're going to develop. It's going to take us 12 months to develop, 6 months to test, then another 6 months to market or whatever. And the CEO or whatever, the pressure on the CEO and the marketing, no, we need money now, and right? So that creates, I think, that issue where they don't get it because they don't see the long-term play with these storytelling because you're building brand value on our side, at least what we're doing. And sometimes they don't get it, or maybe they don't want to get it because they're so hyper focused on like, if I don't bring return this quarter, it's not 3% or whatever, 5%, whatever their targets are. It's not over year, then I look bad. Then if I look bad, then the company looks bad, then my job's on the line. So there's a lot more, to it than it needs to be,
right?
Because ultimately, then you'll see, then they'll fire the CEO, they'll hire a new one who goes, oh yeah, I can fix this, but it'll take me 2-3 years, and they'll implement exactly what was needed to be implemented because it's a long-term play usually, right? Short-term plays generally don't. They may give you instant return for a little bit, then they don't last that long. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I do like about small businesses. As somebody who works with large agencies and then small ones, small businesses can be nimble. I find it so much easier when you can hop on a phone call and straight up talk to the owner or at least the lead marketing director or whatever, and be like, look, this is it. This is what we can do. This is what your idea is. What do you think? And you can instantly get yes, no, whatever, or you can get their buy-in by telling them, hey, look, this brand is doing this, blah, 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 whatever the strategy is. It's a lot easier because now you're talking to the decision maker. When you have 5 people in there, I think sometimes the message can get lost too.
Yeah.
Because the first person may have full buy-in and they understood it because, you explained it to them. But by the time it got translated, like the game of telephone, right?
Yeah.
By the time they got the CEO, the CEO is like, what? And then sometimes you even get approval and you get the message and they're like, oh, so we want to do this. And you're like, where did that change? The scope of work went from this to this. And okay, well, we got to redraft the contract and, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
You know how that is.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I guess I just wanted to get your angle
Yeah.
on like how you see that kind of evolving.
No,
Because when
yeah.
you probably do this too. You're trying to align with the evolution of what's happening
Yeah.
to video production
Sure.
businesses and how they're going to stand out
Yeah.
and how you're going to be relevant in the future. I'm trying to think a little bit ahead to how does this look and how do people think in a couple
This is why
years?
I diversified my income, right? Remember, it was just production company. Here's what I see. I Having done this now for 14, 15 years, I figured out, I had to sit down and ask myself, what do I enjoy? The truth is, I'm an artist. I want to be on big sets, making good content, helping businesses grow and tell better brand stories. And the truth is, for me at least, and this may not apply to you and other people, it was simple as I cannot be everywhere. I'm one person. I cannot maintain all sets. I cannot maintain all relationships. I cannot go be friends with every brand. So I had to start this thing like I did with you is partnership. So my goal is obviously I'm going to continue my relationships, give them great content, but for me and my personal happiness, I'm good where I'm revenue wise. Obviously we all want to grow and I want to grow. But the goal this year for me has been, and I think I shared that with the group, is just simply to be on more sets. I want to be on your sets and I want to be on which David is DP, but somebody else's production company and their set and other people's sets because, and still obviously not discount my production company. But the reason being is because that makes me happy, right? It
Mhm.
makes me happy. Is like, for example, again, come back to that DC shoot. It made me happy telling that story and being even a tiny part of it, being able to say those are my images, even though it's about the story. But I could go, my images,
Yeah.
helped Adam and the rest of the team tell this massively monumental story.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have done that because guess what? I could have easily been like, Adam, I'm busy building the studio. I don't have time. Sorry, Adam. And you could have been like, that's cool. 5 other people. All right, we'll do it. Right? It may not have looked the same. They might have looked different. But what I'm saying is, technical is not expertise is not that hard to find. It's point I'm trying to make is it. I had to put myself out there. So anyway, my
Yeah.
goal personal has been this that I understand that right for me to be able to be part of amazing stories and obviously we tell great stories with our clients is to be able to open myself up be the DP again, be the gaffer again, be whatever role I can help in other people's production, especially when I'm available,
Mhm.
right? And plus, the best thing with us is what we do is behind the scenes. We're the especially when I'm the production company owner. We are the guy behind the the table. All I'm doing is booking people, booking flights, booking travel. You know what I mean? It's the producer aspect of it.
Mhm.
I can do that anywhere. I still remember I did a gig for you. What was it, Red Cross or something? And you were like, dude, are you okay? And I was like, you like, you have a
Oh,
production
yeah,
company? And
yeah,
it's funny.
yeah.
I was editing their thing and I was doing that. And at the same time, I was handling a couple of rental requests. I'm like, dude, I'm running my production company.
Oh,
What
that's
are you talking about?
yeah,
So
double
I'm happy
dipping.
to be here. Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
what, and I've done that many times. Like there was, I think, a project I did somewhere with you. I think it was Hollywood or wherever. And my buddy was like, "Oh, you got to come to freaking Philadelphia or whatever." I was like,
Yeah.
"Look, I will come. You got to fly me from Hollywood because that's where I am gonna be." And for me, also commitment is very important. I told you yes, that means yes. Plus, I wanted to be there. We love that client. So anyway, point is, he was able to make that happen, and like you said, in a way, double dip. But I made you happy, and I made that guy happy, and I
Yeah.
got to be on 2 cool sets.
Yeah.
I couldn't complain. You know what I mean? So sometimes,
Winning. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's winning. And then, obviously, that's not gonna be able to sustain at this point my costs. So that's why I gotta obviously go do my production stuff on the side
Mhm.
and be able to make the revenue that I want to
Yeah.
make.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. Anyway, so at least that's the path that I am on, where I want to be on more sets. Stop being this guy that I'm just this production company. I am bigger than that. I am an individual who likes to be on sets, but I'm also this production company owner. So I'm separating the two, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. And I think it's worked great for me in 2024. So I want to
Mhm.
just continue that in 2025. At least that's
That's
where the
yeah.
path that I'm on.
That's
Um,
awesome, man. Definitely can do and will
yeah.
definitely use you.
Yeah, whenever
when
it
you're
works,
available.
obviously. Yeah, whenever it works. And the good thing is, I make my own schedule, so I can do whatever I want to do. It just comes down to is being able to be on cool sets.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's pivot. I want to go to the stuff that people want to know from you. They don't want to. So what's your average ticket? You'd say, and obviously projects vary. Like my projects vary hugely in top to bottom. What would you say is your average nowadays, or for a project that you're aiming for, or you're getting actually? That'd be more realistic.
Yeah, I would say last year probably averaged in the 8 to 12 range.
That's pretty good for corporate and commercial.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
corporate.
it's solid. Those are usually two people on set. Whether it's me, you, or me and David, or whoever is out, you and Manuel,
Or David and me.
or
That would
David and
happen
you.
too, yeah.
That happened too. So that's the goal. Couple good ones that were 20, 30. Those are great. There's a lot more work, a lot longer of a process to deliver on those, and more elaborate projects. But yeah, that's kind of, we squeaked out the revenue that we made with 8 to 12.
And that's pretty good range. And mostly your work is actually corporate, not really commercial, right? Have you
Yeah.
done any commercial or no? You stick to corporate, right? I think that on corporate docs and stuff like that, right? Is that documentary
Yep.
corporate?
Yep. Trying to think.
Am I missing anything?
I mean, the Red Cross stuff is more like,
Yeah.
it's
But I think
still
that's more-
corporate-y,
yeah.
but it's like newsy type
Yeah,
stuff.
newsy, I would say.
Where you're cutting the B-roll
Yeah.
package and sending it over. Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty
mostly corporate.
interesting too. Yeah. But no, so 8 to 12, which is pretty good. What type of you can round up. You don't have to give your exact numbers, but I want to know, like, what is the profit percentage that you're aiming for? Like, if you have a 12 grand project, or let's simplify, 10 grand project, what is the profit that you're aiming to make for the company? Not you, the company. What is the company trying to make?
Yeah, so after all my costs for that, it would be anywhere between 30 to 50
Okay. Pretty
percent.
standard.
And the funny thing is how fast that goes. Like,
Yeah.
and when I say costs, I mean mostly paying the freelancers, an editor, charging a day rate for myself if I'm on the set, charging for the pre-production time. That leftover margin gets spent pretty quick.
Yeah.
Whether that's little pieces of equipment, it's subscriptions, it's phone, internet, all
Rentals,
this,
and then
rental,
another
all
thing you
this
brought up
stuff,
that was so
man.
great. Like, we have so many
Crazy.
costs that we are not accounting for, but we should, like storage costs, right? You talked
Storage
about,
cost.
and rental costs or whatever, equipment
Stock
costs. There's so
music.
much. Yeah, stock music, stock media.
Dude, it gets eaten up so quick, and then you look at your accounts, and you're like, wait, I thought I was making a good margin.
Yeah.
I mean, and then the last year for you as well was an expensive personal year with house and baby and stuff. So it's like, numbers sound fancy at the top.
Of course.
I will say one number that I am even more proud of than my top number is the amount I spent on contract labor, which is all my freelancers. I think it was about 110 grand I spent on freelancers last year.
Do you know how much of that was me?
Probably half.
Because I need to do. Funny enough, I did all my numbers, but I didn't do specific like what I got from you or whatever.
Yeah,
So
but it's probably half of it. But that to me is even cooler because from my efforts of starting Adam K Studio, getting these clients, 110 grand. I mean, that's like 2 to 3 pretty decent jobs. Call it 2. 2 decent jobs, salary jobs.
Yeah.
But I'm not looking to hire people on salary. I'm just saying that's like what you hear in the news or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, small businesses create opportunities for America. It's like, wait, like I am one of those little guys that's making a job for a couple people, and it's you and it's other freelancers that get to do what they love and get paid mostly what they want to get paid.
And same thing for me. I'm like excited. 1099s is a good thing. I like, because I'm like, look, these are so many people that, we created, which we are. I mean, we are creating opportunities. I mean, that's exactly what it is, but we couldn't do it by ourselves. Like you said, I couldn't do what I do without any of the people I hire, because at the end of the day, when it's my set, I'm directing. I don't want to be obviously I'll make some inputs
Yeah.
on the camera and stuff, but I want to be focused on the client and the
Yeah.
result and the story because that's far more important than the technical
Yeah.
aspects of it. And so I couldn't do anything without the people that I hire. Plus,
Right.
but I'm hyper obsessive. Thank goodness to you again. That's what I'm saying. Working with you is so great because you're not like me. Because I'm like before I show up, I've already decided what the aperture is going to be, what the shutter angle is going to be, what the the frame rate's going to be. So my freelancers they get like very creative limitation as in like this is it. You can control the lighting. You can't, camera is already set because that's the look that I'm going for. Um, Point I'm trying to make is like, it's I couldn't do anyway what I'm doing without the people that I hire who are
Yeah.
able to come in and help me tell the stories that I'm trying to tell. But at the end of the day, you're right. We're creating, money. We're supporting so many companies, and we're supporting all the way from equipment to retailers like B&H and Adorama to to freelancers like me and you. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, so in the end, we are supporting the economy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%. I
part of
mean,
it at
we're a
least. Yeah.
tiny little spot in
Yeah.
it. And when I look through
Yeah.
my report at the end of the year in QuickBooks and I see that number and I think, how do I improve my business? How do I grow my business? How do I grow my bottom line? Because bottom line is a little more important. Well, I guess it depends on where you are in your business. At this point, it's becoming more important to me. How do I improve that? That's one area where I'm like, I will not cut. Like
But you can cut.
that number will only go up for me
Yeah.
because I want to pay people what they want to get paid. I want to pay the right people that are experienced and are going to do it right the first time.
Yeah, and also not take your clients. It's big, or ruin your relationship. But the
Yeah.
other thing I was going to say is you can't. I know people who've started production companies and hired people, and nothing wrong with hiring people. But as having been an employee, because guess what happens when you hire people? At least in my experience, I'm not again against hiring
They
people.
leave.
Yeah, they leave. they also they need PTO, they need time off, they get sick, which is human. But they need health care, which is massive on top of the salary. Plus, now you're on the hook for the equipment. Guess what? When you bring in David, if his FX6 breaks or whatever, he's on the hook, or me, to have the separate camera or whatever.
Yeah.
You're not on the hook.
Yeah.
Versus if you're providing the FX6 and they drop it or whatever, like they're on the hook for, you know what I mean? So you're not only on the hook for them, you're on the hook for their benefits. And they call in, which they have a right to. Now what? Versus with a freelancer, they're coming because I'm coming. I'm not getting paid if I don't show up. So there is inherent advantage. Obviously, it wouldn't work if you were hiring me 365 days of the year. Now you're like, that doesn't make sense. Obviously, but if it's how it is, which normally it is for shooters, because we're not shooting every single day. For me, at least, it doesn't make sense to hire. And I've seen companies go out of business because then they'll hire someone and they'll ask the same person to edit because you want to use their time efficiently.
Right.
And then they're not as good at editing or they're not good at shooting. At least that's what I've seen. I don't know if obviously you haven't done it. So
No, I mean,
which is why I've like every year I go, I would love to have a full-time person here, especially now that I have a space. But then I'm like, what are they going to do? And do I want them to multitask because then they're not good at everything, right? They're not, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's just like decreasing your liability when you're trying to grow your business. Like I have a buddy that has several employees as a production company, and they do great, and it works great for him. They got a good amount of revenue coming in, recurring revenue, which is key when you have employees, and they got some funding from a partner, and so they're able to sustain that. I have another buddy that's maybe a small step behind where I am in terms of revenue. And he's like, dude, I got to hire a salesperson. I'm like, dude, don't hire a salesperson. Like, I've gone through the same thought process. I'm like, I need to have someone to take this on, especially when you go through a busy period. You're like, dude, I can't do all this. I need somebody to take this on. Like, dude, just contract somebody.
Yeah.
Like that's what I did end of last year to just get this ball rolling. Is I contracted a project manager part-time to help me keep up with all the details and communications and start building out processes within my business so that can be a little more efficient and I can hand over some stuff to her. I didn't have to sign, an employment agreement. I just said, hey, here, do 20 hours a month max and let me know when you're getting close and we'll start working on these things. I have no commitment. I can leave,
Exactly.
My goal is that she I work her up to 40
Yeah.
hours and she's happy with it. And um, we get enough
Mm-hmm.
value out of that. If she ever wanted to
Mm-hmm.
take that step further, great. If not, then that's cool.
Yeah.
Like I'm comfortable with people being where they tell me they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm gonna wait to hire people until I can absolutely say yes, paying this salary
Mm-hmm.
equals you know, 1.5x that salary in revenue. Whatever the
Mm-hmm.
formula is
Yeah.
that makes sense to get a return
Yeah. You'd
on that
want it more than
hire.
that, but yes, that's
Like,
whatever the formula is.
yeah, like it's you got to be pretty big
Yeah.
to get to
Plus,
that
then you
point,
have to be
right?
able to be efficient. My whole thing is, and it's so good to hear. That's why I'm like having this conversation. If somebody's working it, because like I said, in my experience, it's hard to be good at both. Like I said, editing and shooting and all that. It's the truth. It's different art forms, and so making that work seems harder to me. Plus, like I said, you have to have extra people on staff now because if they call in whatever on a shoot day, you have to be able to make sure you can cover that shoot or whatever, right? There's a lot to it, and obviously nothing wrong with hiring. I know huge agencies that have huge people on staff. Obviously, funny enough, they still hire me. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
we
but
get.
yeah. I mean, so obviously there's many different ways to obviously work this out.
Mhm.
But that's good to hear your perspective on it. That what you're thinking and stuff like that.
Yeah, man, we get hired by large organizations that have in-house video production teams
Yeah,
too. So
exactly.
it's like they're doing it. Like,
Yeah,
it's
but it's
not to
hard.
say
Just
that
the
it's
same.
wrong,
Yeah,
but
and just the thing is, same thing. That's why they hire outside because it's really hard to keep them trained, keep them with the right equipment, with the like the right benefits and the costs. It's really expensive because I part of my business is providing and we've talked about this marketing agency with the people that they could shoot for them and edit for them
mhm,
and all that. And that's the reason why it made sense for them to go through me because guess what? If one of them calls in, I can send another freelancer and they'll never be out of that have that issue.
yeah,
It's that liability that they don't want. Plus, if the equipment gets old, broken, whatever, it's on me. But then on my side, it's like, hey, I can make good, revenue off of this
yeah.
because I have the equipment, I have all the expertise, I have these freelancers with me that I can send over to get whatever they want done. So it's like I guess it's beneficial for them to do
Yeah,
it that way. It's beneficial for me to do it this way. So we're
that's
all winning at the end. That's all that matters.
that's why where I was thinking about this recently, that's why I think we and other freelancers and small production companies are well positioned for the future because having employees is very expensive
Hmm.
and large organizations are you always hear about laying off all these employees, cutting all these people,
Yeah.
eliminating this department. Um, I think in even in like an economic turn down, like a slow
Hmm.
economic period, companies look to cut costs.
Yeah.
Maybe that means they cut out some of those large agencies,
Hmm.
huge production teams. They're bringing 40, 50 people out onto their set that we can do with like
Yeah.
10 and
Exactly. We can
achieve
be way more
90% of
efficient.
the
Yeah.
quality. I
Yeah.
think we're well positioned for that, as well as being
Yeah.
freelancers and operating
Yeah.
outside of the organization so
Hmm.
that the cost of,
Yeah.
health insurance, 401k plans, payroll, all that
Yeah.
stuff is like gone. Like, why don't you just eliminate that, pay me
Hmm.
the rate that I want to get paid? You'll save,
Yeah.
we'll win, everybody wins. I think we're
Exactly.
positioned well in that sense for the
You
future.
absolutely said it, like, especially once actually the economy takes a downturn, video is even more important because people are buying less, so you need the more reason to buy. And funny enough, you say that, I've done that, where a large agency has reported, oh, these talking heads will be on the higher end level, be like $250,000 or whatever. And I've been able to come in and I'm like, I can do the exact same thing. And this is not to undercut, it's just I'm looking at my costs. I have my own formula, right? I have my production fee, I have my director's fee. And then I'm like, oh yeah, we can bring to our Alexa LFs and the signature prime, whatever the typical my look is. Two cameras. I can even add a third handheld one, and I can bring the full crew, gaffer, production designer, set designer, and I'm like, yeah, I can do it for 50K. And they go, whoa, you know what I mean? And I'm making good money. I'm like, I have no idea how much their margins are, and maybe they need to be higher because again, they need to pay for the employees' wages and all the extra thing. So, like you said, we are way more lean with it because we don't have those, like that production designer isn't sitting in
Mhm.
my team. They're the freelancer I'm going to hire. And that gaffer is, again, I'm going to hire. They're not like on my team. So I have no cost. Like once they come in, I pay them their day rate, they go and work. So we can, I guess, separate the cost for all our clients, right? And somehow at the end we win, but they win, everyone wins.
Yeah.
And the client gets the look and the feel and the
Yeah.
content that they wanted. But which is great. Like I said, at the end we are all winning, which is why, like I said, it was great partnering with you last year in so many of your projects where I could help in. I guess David wasn't available, so you're like, let me reach out to my backup guy.
No.
But no, you're part of it. The funny thing is, like I said, the cost went so high. So normally I'd be, even though people think I've spent a lot of money, I'm very efficient. I have formulas, like this is business, how I'm running costs. It's just, thanks to your inspiration, I was like, okay, I got to buy this house. And then, I was really,
Worst
once you
idea.
vision it, I know, worst financial decision. Because, it's one thing to buy for rental. That's a different, real estate can be a great investment. But when you're buying for yourself, it's not really an investment. It's a place to live, So worst cost thing ever, because I'm not thinking about selling this, right? So there's no return on this investment. Anyway, so now I'm like, putting all this money into it. It's taking time for my shoots and my production company. On top of that, now I've emotionally invested because I'm like, I need the space, and now I see where I can park my van, because that was the issue with the last place, HOAs and stuff. You can't just park production vans just anywhere.
Mhm.
So I said, well, I can have the space. I can finally do this podcast I'm talking about. So anyway, and I think it was your Red Cross gig that was so freaking incredibly helpful, because I think the hurricanes was delaying this process.
Yeah.
And so it was great to be able to just take my mind off things. And while, these other people, whoever figured out how to make this work, and to be able to take my mind off. So at that time, I was like, it wasn't just that there was a gig, it was also time off. Because if it was at home, I would have been dealing with, all these people, like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Right.
Well, versus here, I'm distracted. I'm looking at people's home just gone.
Right.
I'm like, okay, I'm not that bad.
I'm doing okay.
I haven't just closed it, but it's still there, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, but technically, you are kind of responsible. Partly, I mean, I would say what do math, 120, 150. No, what would your 55 grand be if that was my revenue? Anyway, I guess you're responsible for this plant. You can take this tree home, and I mean, your revenue paid
I'm
for
gonna
this.
walk out with it now. I just said that.
I mean, but it was definitely helpful. And what I do want to tell people, which is why our friend David is, DP. There is an inherent advantage. I don't want people to think there's total negative of working for other people. Because guess what? When I charge, sure, I could charge people 30, 50, 10 grand, whatever, 8 grand for projects. We have costs. So our profit may only be let's say 10 grand project, like you said, 3, 4, 5 grand profit, and much even less percent wise on a 50 grand profit. It may only be like 10 grand. Point I'm trying to make is versus, sure, I'm not making that much on your project, but that's all profit. Right.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Of being a freelancer.
There is, so there's nothing wrong if that's the path that I think helps somebody, because food is provided, planes are provided, hotel is provided. At the end of your costs are being covered by the production company, which hurts when you're the production company doing it, but it's really good when you're the freelancer. And then whatever your rates are and your equipment rentals are, if you can build that in, at the end of the day, it's 100% profit, right? So that money can be very, very lucrative too. Sure, the top line revenue doesn't look that nice, but it's all profit.
Right.
So there is an inherent advantage to being a freelancer too, if that's something somebody's interested in. Obviously, I wouldn't want to do that full time, but it doesn't hurt to have that extra revenue on the side.
Yeah, no, that helps me. A couple things there. It's profit in the sense that it all goes into your bank account. You don't have those liabilities of like, I got to pay this camera op, I got to pay this PA, whatever. You still got your costs and your expenses, of course. So your net profit is a little different than that day rate. Unless you're a freelancer, padding in more on top of that to build your business, which most aren't, because they think that probably prices them out. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, depends on where you're at. I think it's a great model to be a freelancer, and the amount of the mental load of freelancing, in terms of the actual work, is lower. than being the production company where you've got to coordinate multiple people, you've got to handle post-production, it's way more drawn out, you've got to do all that invoicing. The mental load of freelancing, the shoot it and boot it kind of deal
Yeah.
where you shoot, you hand off cards and you're done and you wipe that off your mind.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I envy that sometimes
Yeah.
for sure. The second thing I was gonna say on that is yes, balancing out freelancing with my own projects helps out a lot because it is immediate cash flow injected into my business.
Yeah.
So a lot of projects that I'm working on, there's maybe a deposit and then a final invoice that could be net 30'd. It can get delayed. Had one recently that was sent to my old address and then flagged as a duplicate. And just finally got it like 61 days later. And it's like, dude, you're on the hook until you get that.
Exactly.
So,
especially as a production company, I like to pay my freelancers like the day off the shoot.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to float that cash, right? But I mean, typically I try to charge my clients all up front. I used to do 50 long time ago, 50 deposit and then 50 at delivery. I changed that. Now most of my big clients will just pay 100% upfront. That helps a lot. But even the people who want to split it, which is okay, 50% upfront and I do 50% before shoot. And the advantage of that is then now you're no longer having to float that. Because in the past I've had to do that where you're, floating from your bank account because, I expect, I at least like to pay my shooters like, hey, you're done with the shoot. Here you go. Here's your Zelle or whatever. But again, you don't want to be floating that out of your own money. So if you're waiting on a check, that can be a pain. Yeah.
I'd really try not to do that. I know we had one we're out. You were sitting on one from me that I was also sitting on. I did end up
Adam, how dare you? No,
I did just end up floating that because it is so important to me to have good relationships.
Which I appreciate you. You didn't need to because we're cool. And again, I just want everyone to know you can't do that to me. This is Adam. We've worked enough, and we know each other. I would call you a friend now, so I'm not worried about a few $1,000s here. I mean, it's fine. It's not the end of the world. It's okay. I'm saying it's cool. But yes, I do get it. You don't want to be floating.
And that's why most of the time my deposit covers all of my costs in terms of freelancers. Sometimes if it's a smaller budget thing, maybe the bill for the editing is like worked into that second half. But most of the time I try to have all of my freelancer costs covered up front, so that way no matter what, if somebody does work for me, they're never out. They're never going to be in a position where they're not getting paid. Like I might not get paid if like that client disappears or something or something random happens.
That is a risk you're taking as a production company, obviously. Yeah.
Right. But, so I try to make sure like pay obsessively on time and bill at least enough to cover all of my costs up front so that nobody's ever out, because your relationships with your contractors and your freelancers are so valuable and important,
Exactly. Because you get priority to, at least for me, when I'm hiring people, I've noticed that when you have that relationship and they know that they can expect to get payment immediately, they're more likely to want to work with you over others. So you have an advantage of getting dates and other things. At least that's what I found. Obviously, buying the house process was a pain. And then again, that's where the relationship comes in, where people were patient. They're like, hey, no worries. When it closes, we'll happily get paid then. And that's exactly what it's about. Same thing with us. You were like, hey, it's not coming. I was like, that's cool. Whenever you can, that's fine. It'll be nice, but not necessary. And that's where, again, same thing with clients comes down to your contractors, just having a good relationship. And that's why working with people you like, know, and trust. If somebody just hires me, I'm like, okay, so who you are, what do you want, blah blah blah. You're like, hey, you want to go here? I'm like, sure, because I know what to expect. I hope that makes sense. And I hope that's the same with the other people you're hiring, and at least that's the same when I'm hiring people too, because you've built in relationship. It gets very. Sometimes I have to hire a production, and I like to hire owner operators like me because it reduces risk. But I'll find an owner operator, I don't know, in some town, and I'm like, okay, first let me build this relationship. Can we hop on a call? Because I want to know that if one of your guys calls in, you'll have another guy with you. Because at the end of the day, you're still representing Bindra Productions, and I can't have, terrible. But that's what I'm saying. You have to start now that relationship from scratch versus being able to send in people I know or be able to go by myself. But sometimes you just don't have the budget to go travel, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely, man. Yeah, that's just one way to roll, and yeah, keep your cash flowing and keep your people happy. And yeah, again, just want to like enable people to do what they are best at and what they like to do.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most rewarding things for sure, is when
Yeah, I
you can
mean,
bring friends on. And that's like my peak, is like friends working together, hanging out, doing good work, having
it
a
may
good time, getting paid well. Like
it makes the
that's
time
peak.
go by faster, right? And that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. The set when you're hanging out with people that you like, it makes the set go much smoother. But then also you can provide client the better result. And also, at least for me, I find that you want to work harder. So, for example, that Red Cross thing. At least for me, it was like, hey, I'm there and I'm talking to these people, but I'm representing you, so I'm like doing what I would normally do. I'm like, so what do you do? You know, and then I find out, oh, they do this event where they need a video person. I'm like, oh, so how do you, do you have a video team? Yes, or oh, why isn't Adam and I doing it? You know, I'm like, and I'm like already trying to find a lead for you, because why wouldn't I? I mean, I have that time anyway. We're doing a freaking multi-hour long drives every day going to
Hmm.
these disaster zones. And again, I can't guarantee they'll sign up because, you know, obviously I'm not following through because when I
Yeah,
leave
that's
the
not your
set, I'm
job.
done.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt to then look out for my buddy because I'm like, instead of sitting here and being on my phone, I might as well
Yeah.
plus get to know the person I'm hanging out with. But what I'm saying is it can result in better output at the end because it's like, hey, oh, you need video people, huh? Well, Adam's here, right?
Hmm.
And we're here, so let us give it a shot or whatever.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm saying it just,
Yeah.
and I've
No, I
had that
mean,
happen. You know, sometimes, which is rare. Sometimes you can bring a stranger and they try to talk to your client or whatever, versus you bring friends and who are trying to talk about Emmanuel. I've been on sets with him where the client's like, "What's your number?" and he points to my sticker, like, "There's the number," right? And that's what you want. You don't want the
ideal.
guy to go,
Yeah.
"Let me give you my number." Call me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's because at that time you're working for Bindra. You're not.
Right.
So, and that's very important.
Oh yeah.
It's small, but it's important.
Not everybody does
Yeah,
that.
but those people don't come back. At least for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
all right, man. It's time to almost wrap up. So before we finish, I can't believe it went by so fast. And I have so many more questions.
You
You
can
know, to
run it
ask
back
you.
sometime.
Yeah, I know. That's the good thing about I love about this format. That, you know, this goes great. Obviously, I'm just doing this because I've already learned this is value enough for me. Hopefully, other people will find value in this. And if it goes great, we'll do another season, and then you're welcome to come back
Sure.
anytime, obviously. And
Yeah.
I like I said, I have enough detailed question that I could ask you that I think will help people and me. But before we wrap up, anything else you want to add? Anything new you learned this year, or I don't know what you want to tell people?
Um, I would just say I'm proud of you, seeing you charge on with everything that you've committed to doing with the van and the studio and the house and the business. Like,
Oh,
just got to
thank you.
give
Thank
you
you.
a nod for this. Like, I think I walked in here and I said, "Holy shit!" Like, dude, what have you been doing, man?
This is why I've been off the. But, you know, to be real, I'm done being the construction work. I'm a filmmaker. I want to go back to being a filmmaker and a business guy. So for a few months, I had to go back, you know, to and juggle all this. This was happening while I was on shoots with you and
Yeah,
other people and other companies and handling rentals. Point is, so glad it's over. I'm so
dude.
glad we have this space. But to be real, the goal was this isn't really a public space, but, you know, we've talked about it. I
Right.
just wanted to have space where we can come have this a
Yeah.
conversation.
Mhm.
Obviously, we're recording it, but they don't have to be all recorded.
Mm.
Now we have a place where we can just hang out, where it's like, hey, you know, Adam, come on, let's have a drink or let's just talk or whatever, you know. And now we have a space where, and then also I have work life separation, you know, because
Right.
now
Right.
I have kids, you know, this now.
Mhm.
So for years there was no work life separation. Now it's like I cross this door. Here's where the equipment is. There's the work. And if I go over there, obviously I'll still do some computer work. But outside of that, that's home, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is incredible. Plus, it saves me time. I hated doing rentals in the past. I just did it to help people because, you know, I had to go to my office and load in, wait. People are never on time. Now, this like they come to me. Like,
Mhm.
you want it? Come here, get it, go out of here. So, yes. So finally, I'm excited, and I'm excited to just have a space for us to come chat and talk.
Yeah.
And like this already, I'm like the type of conversations I'm having, man. It's been incredible. The amount I've learned in the past few weeks, just doing some of these episodes is just crazy.
Yeah.
So like I said, again, you're welcome back anytime. You have so much knowledge. Before you go, please share people your Instagram so they can go follow you or whatever.
Yeah, at Adam K Studio on Instagram. And I'm one of those people that's trying to be on LinkedIn this year. So Adam K Studio on there too. But yeah,
Hey,
seriously, reach out anytime. Like, happy
little
to have
tangent.
conversations.
LinkedIn, if you're trying to be a production company, is where's the at, you know. Trust me, that's where the money's at.
Okay.
Because the people that we're trying to find are on LinkedIn. So
That's what I
that's great.
think.
That's great. Yeah, be on LinkedIn, man. That's more money, more work for me. You know, let's put the man to
Yeah,
work, right?
let's put it to work. Let's get
All right,
after it.
Adam. I really appreciate you coming, my friend.
Thanks.
This been great, and you're welcome back anytime. Hopefully, we'll run this again. And audience, if somebody's listening, I can guarantee you.
Anybody's
please,
out there.
please, anyone out there, write questions, and I want detailed stuff. Like, you know, I'm pretty sure you're like me. We're happy to share actual numbers, actual details, because at the end of the day, if this can help even one person, why not?
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt our business. And so if you want to know any specific things from Adam, I would love to bring you back, and then we can run over specific, because here's questions that I had that we didn't get to go over, like, you know, how do you run client meetings? How do you run, how do you get clients? And now people are going to be like, why didn't you ask that? But, you know, but this is just the first one. How do you get actual clients? And then, you know, how do you know, follow up with them for future leads, stuff like that. So there's a lot we can touch on. So we definitely have to run this again. So, but again, for now, this is enough. So thank you.
It's very cool. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for
Appreciate
coming,
it.
man.